Ahoy there and welcome back to Building Boys. You now have issue 123 of Hachette's Build the Titanic. It's light work in this one, which is quite nice after the struggle I know a lot of us went through with 122. 122, an issue that will live in infamy. But again, if you follow my method, it works. Other people have used it and they're all saying that it works, so it's a good thing. All we're doing in this one is we're putting in a stern cross support. This is going in the back of the hull, and this will ultimately hold the aft deck and poop deck. That's what this is going to do. This is the last time we're working on the hull for at least 7 issues. So I know right up to 130, we're not touching the hull. I'm wrong. We are. There's a tiny little plate we're going to put in the hull at some point, but beyond that, this is pretty much the end of the hull work. With the exception of the rudder. So it's a while before we have to start lugging the hull about. A lot of what we're doing over the next 6 is going to be mainly work on the poop deck. We're going to be building cranes, things like that. But so if you're worried about lugging this up, and it's a good 6 issues before we got to do this again. But we're just putting in this support. It's going to be quite simple. It's going to be quite light work, but we'll get that done. At the end of this one, we're back with Titanic Tales. And we will be talking about what was very useful to have on board the Titanic, what saved quite a lot of people. And it was something that you either got it or you haven't. But it's a genuine thing, and it's not just the Titanic that's affected by this. A lot of things are affected by this. If you've got it, you're probably going to survive most tragedies. If you haven't got it, you probably won't. It's terrible, but it's true. We'll talk about what that is at the end of this one. Without further ado, let's get this one open. Let's get this one built. If you haven't yet, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps the channel massively. We just love having you along for the journey because we are cruising towards the end now with only 17 issues left to go. Let's get into it. Okay, so here is 123, and let's see what comes inside of it. Not a lot, really. We've seen these before. I mean, so we have some, what screws are we dealing with here? AM screws, so that's intermetal. So we'll be using the old 3-in-1 oil technique. Here's our pieces. Let's see what they are. Okay, so bracket. Another bracket. This will be the beam, I would imagine. Let's have a look. There's your beam. And one more piece. Now this feels plastic. And it is. So the first 3 pieces are metal, and this is a plastic piece here. So that is what we're dealing with. It's a summon and nothing issue, this one, but it is vital because you don't put this in, well, your poop deck's just going to fall straight through the through into the engine room. We don't want that. So let's have a look at what we're doing. Let's get this put together. Okay, so we're going to use the 3-in-1 oil technique on this one, which I've shown you a billion times, but why not make it 1,000,001? Take our screws out. Right, so taking an AM screw, we're going to load that one up. This is a magnetized screwdriver, and all we're going to do is we're going to touch the tip of the screw into the oil. That is it. That's all I do. You know, you don't got to slather your model in oil, you don't need to. That's overkill. So that's that one in the oil. Now we're going to take this beam here, and we are going to take, this is the cross support, and we are going to take the plate, which is this one here, and quite simply, this way round, those are going to connect together like so. Flipping it round, we're going to take our first AM screw, and because we put the oil on, this should go in like a treat. And it does. So I'm going to screw this one in. Now, because there is a plastic plate here, you need to make a judgment call on when to stop. Because if you screw too hard, you're going to crack the plastic plate. You don't want to do that. Right, let's take another AM. Now, the good news is I can't see anything that requires an Allen key. And you know how I feel about Allen bolts. Okay, so there you go. 3-in-1 just makes this so much bloody easier. Honestly, there's none like blowing away swarf or having to put it in halfway and take it back out and God knows what else. It just makes life a lot easier. There you go. So that is that one. Nice and firm, nice and secure, no wobble on it at all. That's built. So build-wise, that's all we're doing, but we do have to install this to the hull. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the hull up, or as I've nicknamed it for now, Biggie. So we're going to bring Biggie up here, and we are going to swing it around. We're going to be working on the stern of the ship, and we're going to pop this one in. Okay, so this is the section we're working on at the stern of the ship. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the bracket we've just made, and we'll pop this into here like... No, we're not. Talking absolute nonsense. I've got to put the actual clips on first. There we go. So putting our clip on there. We're going to screw this in place now. Again, I've used the 3-in-1 method to oil my screws. So hopefully, whoop, let's get that one loaded properly. Hopefully, this should go in easily. I hope. Now, normally, I don't bore you showing me putting screws in, but someone actually commented that I skip too much stuff, and I'm like, really? Okay, you want to watch me put a screw in? Fair enough. Here you go. All right. There you go. That's screw number 1. And now we'll move right along to screw number 2. So screw number 2, opposite side. There we go, this one screwed in. There we go. So that's that one in. Now I am going to skip this next bit because we're doing the exact same thing on this side. So I'm going to get that one done, then we'll come back to what the next stage is. Okay, so that's both of these brackets in this one here, this one here. Now taking our arm, and we have the plate. It's going to face towards the rear. So that's going to fit on there, and it's going to fit on there. Fits in lovely. Again, same thing. So we're taking 4 of the AM screws. We've put 3-in-1 oil just to get this to screw down. Nice and simple. So let's get the first one put in. So that's 1. Yeah, I mean, I do skip screws. Because, I mean, do you need me to show you how to put a screw in? I just thought maybe you might find that a little dull, but okay. You want to watch me put the screws in? Watch me put the screws in, I don't mind. 2. And we go for number 3 over here. And then finally, number 4. Now, what I will say is, when you go into metal, if you want to use a bigger screwdriver to get some torque on it, that's worth doing, just to make sure it's nice and tight. But that's in, that's not rattling, no rattle there, no wobble. Happy with that. So for an aerial view, that's how you're now looking. So that's how that section now looks. That's where that should be facing this way. So when we put our decks in, it's gonna give it that bit of extra support, so it's not just gonna fly through there. Now there are, as I noticed, 2 brackets here and here and here, which would suggest we've got 2 more beams to go in at least until the hole's done. So until you see beams mentioned in what's coming, we're not putting that deck on for a while. Let's have a chat. All done, nice and simple. So, I mean, it's nice to have a bit of respite from the trauma of issue 122, shall we say. So it's done. And is it a big sexy piece? No. Has it changed the look of the model aesthetically? No. But is it essential? 100%. So that's where we are. Now, something I'm going to address before we go into our Titanic talk is I've had a lot of messages. I've also seen a lot of social media posts about certain things like, I fit my decks don't fit. Not put them together, put them onto the hull. Put my decks on the hull, they don't line up, they don't fit. What's going on? I've seen ones where my sound's not working properly and I can't get the funnels to blow smoke. I can't. Right, we haven't been told to do any of that. You've had no instructions to do any of that at all, right? So my advice would be, wait until you get to the stage where it says to do that. And if you've got a problem then, well then you've got a problem, you know? But you don't know what is... So I've seen parts where it's like, oh, we're going to have to adjust this to get it to fit. How do you know, right? So there could be parts of the model they're going to ask us to take off like they do with other part works. Take this part off and swap it out for this part. Or take this part off, fit this, then put that part back on. That happens, and it happens quite a lot in part works. So if you haven't been told to fit your decks to the hull, don't fit your decks to the hull. If you haven't been told to screw your poop deck down, don't screw it down. If you haven't been told to screw the forecastle down, don't screw the forecastle down. If you haven't been told to plug all the electrics in, don't plug all the electrics in. It just proves yourself. The reason why I'm saying this, because if you bugger something up, you're then in a position where you have to say, I decided to go rogue. I've buggered it. It doesn't work now. Please can I have another one for free. And they're perfectly in the right to go, no. So just wait. Good things come to those who wait. That's where we are, right? So you're going to get to a point soon where all this is going to go together. So it's not supposed to be something you stand right now. But most of you got it starting you stand right now. I get it, but it just future proofs stuff. If anything goes, pear shaped, you're kind of protected against it. So yeah, that's where we are with that one. That's all for build instructions. If you are just sticking around the build instructions, thank you for stopping by. It's always a pleasure to see you. But if you're sticking around for our Titanic tale, well, as I said at the top of this one, what one thing can you have that will significantly improve your chances of survival in tragic events such as this? Well, I'm going to say, you're not going to believe me. I'm going to show you a picture of one word, and it is this. Yeah, beauty. So beauty privilege is very much a real thing. You wouldn't think it is, but it is. You will significantly increase your chance of survival if you're beautiful. It's mad, right? But people will go out of their way to help you. Now, this isn't just, again, I'm sure that there might be some eyes rolling. There might even be a case of someone immediately wants to jump on misogyny. That's because men only help beautiful women. No. So if there is what's traditionally a beautiful woman, I'm not going to get into the whole who's to say what's beautiful. That's a nonsense. With traditional beauty, we all go, yeah, Marilyn Monroe. We're like, yeah, it's beautiful. You'd be very hard pushed to find anyone who goes, no, I don't think so. They're out there, but traditional beauty is what I'm talking about. What is aesthetically pleasing to the eye? Now, is it because men are all attracted to them and think if I help her, maybe she'll, date me? No, because what you tend to find as well is you tend to find children are more likely to help a beautiful woman, both male and female children. Women are more likely to help a beautiful woman. It's mad, but it's true. And statistics they've looked at this. A traditionally beautiful woman. They've looked at the statistics, and it's true. But also the flip. So a attractive man is more likely to be helped by other people. It's mad, but it's true. And it's is it that mad, or is it something in our hardwired, in our genetics, that are basically saying, that's a pretty one, we need that for breeding, let's keep them? Maybe that's what it is, I don't know. But an example of this is there was a young girl on board the Titanic called Kate Gilnar. Apologies to Irish viewers if I pronounced that wrong. Gilnar, I think it is. It could be pronounced completely differently to that. She was 15 years old, and by all accounts, she was very attractive. She was almost like angelic looking. This is what they all said. She had the face of an angel. And 15 then was seen as kind of grown. So the plan was she was going to America to find a husband. I mean, I don't know, 15-year-olds would do that, but that's what she was doing. She was going to America to be with her sister who'd emigrated over there because she'd married in America, and the plan was she was going to go over there and marry someone. That's what she wanted to do. While she was on board the Titanic, she was a third-class steerage passenger. While she was on board the Titanic, she caught the eye of a young bagpipe player from Ireland. And they'd hit it off. That's all that's been said. Nothing more has been said. They just hit it off. The night of the sinking, she was at a party in the communal deck area of steerage. And the things that she remembers about it, she said a rat appeared. And everybody kind of went into a frenzy. So there was a bunch of kids trying to chase this rat around and catch it. And they were all drunk, so it was funny. So that's the thing that sticks out, that's what she remembers. And she went to bed shortly after that. And she slept through the collision. So she wasn't awake for the collision, slept through it. And it wasn't until there was a banging at her door in the early hours of the morning that she woke up and opened the door. And there is the young bagpipe player. I mean, amazingly, he knew where her room was. But he was knocking at her door. And told them, there's something happening. He didn't know what was happening. There's something happening. We've all been told we've got to go up there. We've got to put our lifebelts on, go on deck. So off she goes. Now, they're down in steerage, so things are getting a bit chaotic because the gates are locked to make it up to the first class deck where the lifeboats were. Now, contrary to popular belief, and we have discussed on the channel before, they were not locked to keep the steerage people from getting to lifeboats, right? These things were always locked, and the reason why was because when they docked in New York, it was for immigration purposes. That's why they were locked. So what would happen is the vessel would align, the passengers would get off, so sort of second and first class passengers would align. The ship would then sail on, and then they would go to immigration for the processing of the people that are in steerage that were typically emigrating. That's what the delay. So that's why they're locked. It was so nobody could jump into the country unchecked. That was the whole point of it. So they were always locked. It wasn't that the Titanic hit the iceberg. They went, lock the gates. That's not what happened. Contrary to popular belief, that is not what happened. So the gates were locked. So, but there are other ways. If there's a will, and there was a will, there's a way, and there is always a way. So they were going to find a way around this. So off they go. So the three girls get split up with the bagpipe player. It's Kate Kilnara, Kate Mullins, and there was a third Kate whose surname escapes me, but it was Kate, and Kate. For some reason, 90% of the girls on board the Titanic seemed to be the Irish girls on the Titanic were called Kate. I don't know why, but they were. But Kate, and Kate, off they go. And they find an area that does have access, but there is a seaman stopping people from getting through. Now, he's not stopping them from getting through because he doesn't want something from lifeboats. It's because that's his orders that third-class people aren't allowed up onto the first-class deck, so he's stopping them from getting through. It's at this point that a young Irish lad named James Farrell grabbed the guy and said, let the girls through, I'm going to knock you out. So he let the girls through. He didn't follow them. I don't know what happened to James, sadly. I don't know. I don't know if he lived, if he died. I'll look him up. But he helped Kate through. Kate was pretty. Get over and knock you out. Let the girls through. He didn't do it. In fact, the older women that were there, he did it for Kate. And so, okay. So that's one example of where Kate's beauty kind of helped him out. Kate then gets separated from the other Kates. She's on her own at this point. And she finds herself on a lower deck, and she wants to get to the upper deck where the lifeboats are, but doesn't know her way up there. And she comes across a guy who is leaning on the railing, just glancing out to sea. And she said, I can't get up to the upper deck. So this complete stranger lets her climb on his back. So she climbs up on his back, he puts her on his shoulders, and he just pushes her up to the upper deck. So it's two random strangers have just helped this. There you go. Okay. The third incident happened where she finally made it to a lifeboat, but it's full. And she said, you can't get in, it's full, you're not going in. And she looked at the guy and said, please, I want to be with my sister. Her sister was on the boat. And he went, okay. And let her in. Didn't let anyone else in, right? A lot of other people have asked, can I get in? He was like, no. They'd all given stories, but he was like, yeah, okay, fine, get in. So she gets in. So it's three separate incidents where they let her in. Now, she believes it was because of her beauty, and other people said the same thing. It's because she was beautiful. So that's why they let her through. But she didn't. She survived. She made it to America, and she lived until 1971. So she had good innings after the Titanic. She lived 59 years after the Titanic. But she, there was a belief that her beauty played a part in that. And I'm like, okay. And there are statistics that show this happened. I don't know why. It just does. There's obviously something hardwired into us. This story does somewhat fall apart when, and I don't mean to be harsh, but here's a picture of Kate. Yeah, I'm not seeing it, but I mean, I don't mean to be harsh, but I mean, again, when I heard this story, I was like, I've got to see what she looks like. And I'm like, really? And it's like, okay, I'm not saying she's bad looking, but what I'm saying is, I'm like, really? I'm like, that's okay. So I don't know, but that's the belief. So unfortunately, if like me, you look like when I was a baby, they had to tie a pork chop around my neck so the dog would play with me. If you've got my looks, it looks like we're going to die on the Titanic, doesn't it? But if you're beautiful, well, beautiful people got off. And I mean, if I'm not joking, you can go look at the people that survived and the people who didn't, and you will see a trend emerge. It's not true of everybody, of course there isn't. There's always plenty of exceptions to the rule, but look for yourself. When you go and see any tragedy, people that were helped out of it, take a look at them and see if you can see a trend emerge. It's very strange, but it's true. And it's not just tragedy. I mean, it's kind of like if you're driving, they say the same thing. If you're driving down the road and someone sees a pretty girl by the side of the road and she needs help, people are more inclined to pull over and help her than if I was standing by the side of the road and needed help. They'd be like, yeah, all right, I'm not helping that ogre. They just keep going. So that's the way it is. And if you're right, so again, if you're thinking I'm being too self-depreciating, I was once carrying Jack, my youngest son, through the town centre. He was just been born, and I was taking him to be registered, have his birth registered. And a woman stopped me because she thought I'd stole a baby. She wanted to know, whose baby is that? Like, mine. Because to her, it wasn't possible a hideous troll like me could possibly have a gorgeous little baby boy. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, it happens. So yeah, I'm I'm down the Titanic. But it's true. I mean, if you go and look at survival rates where people are helped out of things, you tend to see beautiful people are in the high percentile. Strange but true what we do, you know. That's all for this one. In a world where you can be anything at all, just be beautiful. You'll live long. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.